Hi, my name is Jenelle Riley. Welcome to this SAG-AFTRA Conversation at Home with MIXEDISH. Today's guest is an actor and comedian you've seen on Key and Peele and Why Women Kill. She currently stars on the ABC comedy MIXEDISH as everyone's favorite aunt, Aunt Denise. Please welcome Christina Anthony.
Hi, Jenelle.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is primarily actors who watch this, usually an audience of SAG actors. So I actually like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card?
Oh, that's a great question. I got my SAG card. I have to think back. I'm pretty sure it was a McDonald's commercial in Chicago. And yeah, I think that's how it happened.
Are you a fan of McDonald's? Was this an easy commercial to do?
It was not. It was, I'd had very little experience. I think it was probably like my second, maybe first or second audition for commercial. And I had very little experience and I didn't know about the bite and smile and spit bucket. And I think it was for McGriddles, but they were frozen. I learned the secret of TV magic. Yeah. So yeah, and I was like, I have to eat a frozen McGriddle, and they're like, no, you just have to like pretend to bite it and then smile, and then you throw it out.
These are the things people don't do that they don't teach you in acting school, you
Yeah,
know?
well, but then later, now we'll talk later about MIXEDISH, but then whenever we have food, now I always eat it.
Oh, it looks really good, actually. That's one thing I've noticed about it.
It's always real food. I never pass it up.
Well, I actually want to start at the beginning with MIXEDISH. How did this show find its way to you? And were you already like a fan of Blackish, or were you familiar with the show?
Yeah, super huge fan of Blackish. I remember reading the pilot during many pilot seasons ago, and while there wasn't anything for me in it, I was a fan of the show, watched it, and then also was aware of Grownish. And by the time the Blackish came to me, it was called, at the time, MIXEDISH was called Blackish. It didn't have a name yet. It just was a backdoor pilot for one episode. When I got a chance to, read about it, I think I read about it on Deadline. There was an announcement that they were going to do a prequel. I was just so drawn to it, and I love nostalgia as a comedian and a writer, and so I was really drawn to it. And then yeah, I definitely wanted to audition. My team reached out to get me an audition, but at that point, Jenelle, I had been in for like dozens and dozens of pilots year after year after year. And so the idea of like, maybe there's this guest star, this character is kind of like a side character. She only has a few lines in the pilot. It truly is an episode of Blackish. So even if they don't make it a pilot, it'll be something small. I think I felt like if I could just get my foot in the door. And yeah, so we went for it, and I went into audition and probably didn't hear anything for like a month. And then they, had finished the cast. And that's when my team told me, come back and they'll see you, but you're going straight to like the end of the process. And so by the time I got that opportunity, there was just like no time to prepare. It was just like, stay up all night and learn this.
And I think I read somewhere that prior to landing the role on MIXEDISH, you were actually kind of, this is not uncommon, but sort of frustrated with the business, or maybe even thinking of leaving.
Oh yeah, done. Not even kind of. Like I'd sent out, I think I had a blog or like an email list, and I sent out a blast that was like, I'm done with this business. And not so much like bitter, just more like, I have the heart to tell myself what other people won't tell me, which is, you must not have it. This is just too hard. I'm first generation show business. I'm like, I could easily like maybe try to like move up at my day job at that time, which was in customer service. So yeah, I was definitely done. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, pushed me, and my parents back at home in East St. Louis, they pushed me, and they were like, you just go to one more audition. And my team too, my reps, they were like, one more audition and then you're done. And I'm so grateful to have like people in my circle that pushed me when I decided that I was not going to be able to do one more. And so, yeah, they pushed me literally out the door. My boyfriend pushed me out the door. I went to the audition. Everybody was there. And before I could get back home to my day job, back to work, my reps called and they're like, you're going to get a screen test. They want you to come back right now. And I said no, because I had already taken my lunch at work, Jenelle, at my day job. The day job has been supporting me, it supported me for 8 years. So I said, I can maybe do it tomorrow, but we've been here before. And that's what I want actors to know too. Like, when you've been there, and it's just like that, if you can just like hang on one more time. And it was fortunate for me. I went back, did the screen test, did the chemistry test. And the next day they called and I was stunned to have gotten it, totally stunned. I hadn't prepared for success. I was always hearing no year after year after year, audition after audition. And so I was stunned when they said, you got it. And I just hung up, grateful, but hung up. And they called back and they're like, why did you hang up? You started 90 minutes, get to work. And that was it. Like, there was no time to like go get an acting coach, work on my comedy, research the 80s. I started work that day.
Wow. Was there like a table read, or did they throw you right onto set?
It was a table read, but it was a table read like no other. I mean, I'd never been, I'd never done any of this. Literally had never gotten the job. So everything was just new to me. So when I got to the table read, I was stunned to see there was hundreds of executives there at ABC, and they had catering. I was like, what is this? This is great. Most table reads I come to, they have like a bag of pretzels and you bring your own water. This was like, it was catered. It was so nice. Everybody was so nice. And everyone looked amazing. And I was wearing just like my regular clothes. But, and also, Jenelle, just to let you know, like the transition, like how fast it came, I had to work that day at my day job. So I asked my boss, could I go in late? Because I had to take care of some personal business. So I went and did the table read. And also, when I went to the table read, I went with my gas tank on E. You know how your car, you can go a little bit. Girl, they don't pay you money to go to these table reads. So I hadn't got paid yet. I hadn't shot anything. I just got the job. So, my life, nothing really changed for me. So when I got there, I was very cautious. Like, is this real? And I remember asking one of the creators of the show, Peter Saji, like, Saji, is this real? Because, I mean, sir, I don't have any gas. I need this to be real.
When did it finally sink in that it was real?
Well, so we shot the pilot and it was a beautiful experience. And then we went to upfronts in New York, still not real. And everybody's like, get your wardrobe together. Who's styling you? And I'm like, the mall, just overnight, everything is just coming together and we're getting ready. They decide, hey, the pilot, we're going to go to series. Still not real. And this is when the premiere is. I'm still going to my day job at this point.
No.
Yeah, because girl, when I got that check for that pilot, I had 43 years worth of bills. So I still had to like pay these people. And I had so many friends tell me, hey, sometimes you can get replaced in a pilot. Sometimes the show just doesn't go. Sometimes, just all these things change. And so I just couldn't let go of my job. And I just remember Kenya Barris, we had another photo shoot and I just was like, how long is this going to take? I got to go back to work. And he was like, you still got that job? Girl, you got to quit that job. And so I think I finally quit a week before we started working on the second episode. But it was hard. It was hard to let go. I really thought I could do this. I could be on a network television show from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day and still try to work 40 to 50 hours at my customer service job. And yeah, I couldn't do it. And so, yeah, I would say probably in September when we finally premiered, I've been just acting for a month.
Wow.
I hadn't experienced that in years. And then I was like, I think I'm on TV. But the reality of it is, though, you're always an actor, And so that part didn't change. Like that stuff, the great part was like I would get my material and I did not feel overwhelmed that all that the training that you have throughout the years was a thing that I could lean on, even though, you know, I had my clothes from the mall and I was driving my clunker car that barely had gas. You know, as I was making my transition into a new part of my career, all my theater work came back, all my training from that, all my improv training came back. And so that is the great part that I didn't have to try to scramble and try to figure out.
Right, because you trained at Second City, I believe.
Yes, for many years in Chicago.
I mean, I sort of feel like if you can do improv, you can probably do anything. Did you
Well, not anything, but yeah. I mean, it is probably one of the most, it can be precarious at times, but also is a great example of ensemble work and teamwork. You know, stand-up is amazing. I also do stand-up. Stand-up's amazing because you're working by yourself with the audience, but working with 6 people trying to get on one page and make it look like a finished product, which is something, you know, I'm an alumni of Second City as well. Like that process, learning that group think, how to listen to each other, that training will stay with you forever.
Speaking of ensembles, your cast on MIXEDISH is amazing. You get to work with Mark Paul Gosselaar and Tika Sumpter and the great Gary Cole.
Yes.
I just have to imagine every day must be, is it as fun as it looks?
Yes, it's absolutely fun. And I adore all of them. We have, you know, we've already gotten our dynamics together. And so, yeah, Tika Sumpter, you know, also is on a show called The Have and the Have-Nots, which was what I knew her from. And so I'm just constantly obsessed, like trying to find more information out about the show. And people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I was still a fan before this, so I'm going to ask. So I'm always, and it's a very dramatic soap opera that she's also on. So I'm always like, who are you going to kill next? Did you really kill that person the last time? And she's like, Christina, focus on your work. And then also like Mark Paul, that's amazing working with him. I mean, literally, you know, all of our, you know, everything's written, but just all of our banter back and forth, to be going back and forth with Zach Morris is just amazing. And he's so wonderful.
He's so good. And I have to admit, like, it took me a couple episodes to realize who it was because he looks so different with the hippie hair. And
yeah, totally. I think there's an episode, it might be the second or third episode. I think it's the third episode where he and Tika get into a fight with the kid's teacher. And right before they're about to like go to fisticuffs, the bell rings for school and he goes, you're saved by the bell. And during the table read, everybody was just like, is he gonna be mad? But he wasn't, because it made it into the show. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So he's really great about it. And then, yeah, Gary Cole is like, it is like he is like a master class in comedy and his training. He comes from the Steppenwolf in Chicago and that strong ensemble training. And so it's just a joy to play with him every week.
You know, there's that old adage about like never work with animals or children, but the young actors on this show are fantastic.
Oh yeah, you got to step up. Okay, so I won't say never work with animals or children, but if you are with children, our children are the children you want to be with. They are comedic equals. And so I enjoy being in scenes with them because they make me step up my game. They teach you so much respect for the script. So as an improviser, sometimes I do want to do my own thing. And the kids, you know, I don't think they don't really, the writers and the actors, you know, there are people that, you know, as we're acting, we do change things. But when you're improvising, the goal is to always keep the meaning the same. Mm-hmm. And if what you improvise does not mean the same thing, the children are quick to call you on it and say, I don't understand what that was. You know, and so that also has helped my acting, you know, learning to express meaning, even if I think I want to say it a different way, and I'm given permission to, it has to be clear to the kids because they're looking for cues, but also they're also thinking as well. And so it's been an amazing process. And it's also really cool to watch them grow up. They've already changed from last March to this March.
Kids keep you honest, man. They don't let anything get by.
Yeah, and if it's not funny, they don't give you gratuitous laughs.
You mentioned that you know you're into nostalgia. Being on a show set in the '80s, how did you sort of prepare for that? Do you love the fashion and the hair, or you know? I mean, I don't think you keep any of Denise's clothes, but maybe.
No, I should. No, I love it. Ceci is our wardrobe designer. She came to us from a different world, a different world, and also from Dear White People. She has such a great grasp on using, especially for Denise, using her wardrobe to express her Blackness, to also express Denise is very pop culture literate. And so I think her role in the children and in the family's life to say, this is what it means to be Black, this is what it means to be Black in the 80s, is she's using her clothing to make sure that she is not boxed in and not put in a corner. And so you see Denise when she comes in the room, and the wigs are also, you know, they've turned into a beautiful experience. We shot the pilot. I wasn't in love with the wig. I was like, oh, this woman is like jazzier than this. This is like some old Louise Jefferson wig. And the producers were like, Christina, we already shot this. We are not going to reshoot it because the hair is not jazzy. But then there was this great idea, like, what if we change wigs every week? And so Nancy Martinez, our hairstylist, was like, yeah, I'm down for the challenge. So every week, Denise gets a new hairdo. And when we got picked up for extra seasons, it was great because we got to recycle and kind of go through our favorites. But the hair has just been an homage to strong Black characters and women throughout history. So we have looks like Phyllis Hyman, we have Salt and Pepper, we have young Janet Jackson, Pleasure Principal Janet Jackson. It is the subtleties in MIXEDISH and the reference to Black culture are just amazes me.
Yeah. It's such a well-written show. What's been your favorite experience or your favorite episode so far?
I think it's coming up, so maybe it will be out by the time people see this or very soon. Wayne Brady is coming to be on MIXEDISH. It's very exciting. With new shows, you always wonder, you know, if other people are watching, and he was watching and was a fan. And so it was great to be able to get someone like him to be on our show, and someone who, you know, also steeped in that improv comedy tradition. To have him come and be on our show was so amazing. And then another favorite thing that we just had last week was Matthew Cherry, who came up from the ranks was a football player, then became a production assistant, and now is an Academy Award-winning director.
Oh, crazy.
The night he won his Oscar, he did not go to sleep. He just drove straight to MIXEDISH and directed us. And he and I had met many years prior, and I was like, oh, I hope we get to work together. And having him direct me in last week's episode about police brutality and Black people's relationship with the police it was a wonderful experience because he won an Oscar, but also a wonderful experience because it just shows if the collaboration doesn't happen right away, you cannot get crazy. Yeah. You have to, you know, still maintain and push towards your goals. But if it's meant to happen, it will happen. And it's kind of amazing. I think at the time that he and I were in communication, he was like, maybe just had moved from Chicago. I had just moved from Chicago, living in a studio apartment in Koreatown. And now we're like, hey, come to my TV show. Look at him. He's an Oscar-winning director. It's like, you just have to wait. And that's the thing, is like the willingness to hang on. And I know it's not easy, but just that the ability to like hang in there, that's the best skill, which is not even a skill, but attributes you can have. It's not, you know, training is great, but patience will take you over the top.
And I just want to plug Matthew's movie Hair Love for our audiences. If you haven't seen it, you can find it online. It's so good. And where would you sort of like to see Denise go? Like, what's your dream storyline? I'm trying not to pry about what your relationship is to Wayne on the show, but I'm hoping.
Yeah. Okay. I won't say why he's there, but I'm glad he came. My relationship, where I want to see Denise go, that's a great question. I'm always chiming in about things I want Denise to do, and I'm sure our writer's room is like, Christina, goodbye. But yeah, now I'll tell you rumors that I've heard. I've
Oh,
heard rumors that she might branch out. She's a single woman living in an apartment. I heard she might branch out into home ownership. Um, she's definitely always looking for love. So, you know, maybe someone steady is coming. Who knows? Um, but I'm also interested to see, she's in a job, a dead end job that she doesn't enjoy, which I can relate to. And so she's working at the airport as a desk agent, and she doesn't like it. And I'd love to see, if she tries to get out of that job, what's her next move.
hmm. Now, we haven't seen on Blackish, you see the older versions of the kids, and we obviously have seen Rainbow's mom. We haven't really seen Denise played by another actress other than you.
Yeah, no, we haven't. We did a tiny flash forward where Anthony Anderson from Blackish and Tracy Ellis Ross, who plays Rainbow, we did a small crossover of a few scenes, but no, we haven't. I don't know how that would work. I guess it would be, we'd have to try to guess. Like, maybe your viewers have some ideas about who could be older Denise, or maybe it's me in like a really gray wig. I don't know. I suspect Denise has not been present on Blackish because she, maybe something happened.
Yeah.
She seems to be estranged from the family. I'm assuming Harrison, the grandfather, Gary Cole's character, is just probably dead because he was already old. But yeah, maybe there's some reason why she hasn't been there. That's a fun thing too. Obviously, when Blackish was created, MIXEDISH wasn't even on the radar yet, and so that character doesn't appear there right now. But I think there's Courtney, who's the showrunner right now. I think he's very open to seeing Denise enter that world.
I mean, if it's not you, who would be like sort of your dream casting to play the older Denise?
Ooh, this is good. I'm trying to think. I see. Here's the problem. We have to think of people who haven't already appeared on Blackish.
You're right. That does make it harder,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
once you're on Blackish, you're burned. You can't be on MIXEDISH, and vice versa. So, I don't know. I don't know if Anna Marie Harsford has been on there. She would be good.
That's brilliant, actually.
And I also like Cheryl Lee Ralph. She's good. There's so many great people.
There are, and I hope they all end up on both shows at some point. Before we go, I want to remind viewers, you can look in the comments for information on the COVID-19 Fund, which is helping performers who are out of work, which is, I guess, sort of everyone right now. And are you, is MIXEDISH, did you shoot your finale for the year? Or were you sort of like interrupted by all this?
Yeah, we actually finished in the nick of time. We wrapped on March 6th, and we're just really fortunate. We had a wrap party, and I think I remember the wrap party saying like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, should we be hugging each other?" Which we did, but it was a thought. We had no idea, things would, take the turn that they have, and so I'm just grateful that we got a chance to wrap up. So there's new episodes coming to everyone. I think we have 3 more coming, new ones. That people will get to enjoy. But yeah, we're really fortunate we got to finish in time.
And I'm just sort of asking people during this strange time, what's sort of keeping you entertained? Are you reading anything, watching anything?
Yeah, okay, so let's see. I got into Black Monday, which is another period piece set in the 80s. Very different from MIXEDISH, but I really love it. Regina Hall and Don King. Oh my God.
Don King. I would watch that.
That'd be amazing. Regina Hall and Don Cheadle are amazing. The writing staff there, that's just an amazing show. And then shout out to Don King. If you're still alive, I hope that you get a TV show. You deserve it. I'm also, like everybody else, I'm getting, back in the kitchen and trying to do better. So I like to combine high and low. So, the other night we had ramen with fancy beef, but 99-cent noodles, stuff like that.
99 cents for noodles is actually pretty expensive, so that sounds fancy.
Oh yeah, well I got it was 2 packs for $1. But yeah, for sure. No, very fatty, but yeah. And then I think I tried to make my own Big Mac the other day, and it was a big mess. So
It's hard.
mm,
It's hard. I don't feel guilty about ordering that stuff because there's something that McDonald's does and they do it right. And I've tried to make homemade Big Macs and they don't taste the same.
no, it does not.
Oh, but I love how you brought it back to McDonald's, your first job.
My first job.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's such a great show. I look forward to seeing whatever happens next.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks so much, Jenelle. This was a nice break.